All right, so are you ready to dive deep into ocean energy today?
Let's do it.
We're going to be looking at NEPTUNYA. They're a company doing some pretty amazing stuff with some seriously innovative technology. We've got excerpts from their website
Okay.
and a Refresh Miami article about them.
Nice. Yeah, it's really intriguing how they're approaching this challenge. Ocean energy has always had so much promise, but harnessing it reliably has been a hurdle.
Yeah, totally. And that's what we're going to unpack today. What makes Neptunia's approach so unique? How are they tackling those limitations that have held other ocean energy projects back? And I think most importantly, what kind of impact could this have on, our quest for clean energy,
Right.
especially for communities that are struggling with really high energy costs?
Those are the million-dollar questions. And we have some clues. Just even skimming their website, you can sense their ambition. It's not just about riding the renewable energy wave. They want to be the ones driving it.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We know the oceans have massive untapped potential for renewable energy, but Neptunia points out that about 85% of that power comes from wind
Mm-hmm.
and 15% from waves. So wouldn't it be amazing if you could harness both at the same time?
That's precisely what makes Neptunia's technology so revolutionary. It's called Octopod Z. Most renewable energy solutions focus on either wind or waves. But imagine a device that's like a hybrid car, seamlessly switching between those two power sources to maximize efficiency.
They've done it. That's exactly what they've done. Octopod Z is this mixed mode device, which means it captures both wind and wave energy. This could be a game changer because wind and waves don't always peak at the same time, so Octopod Z can keep generating power more consistently throughout the day.
And that consistency is key. It tackles one of the major limitations of traditional renewables. Their intermittency, the wind doesn't always blow, the sun doesn't always shine, and the waves don't always crash. But by combining those forces, you create a much more reliable and predictable energy source.
So imagine you're standing on a remote island that relies on these expensive and polluting diesel generators for power. What difference could Octopod Z make in a place like that?
The Bahamas is a perfect example, as the Refresh Miami article points out. Their electricity costs are astronomical, about 3 times higher than here in Florida, and they're heavily dependent on fossil fuels. Neptunia envisions Octopod Z as this clean and affordable alternative, not just for islands, but for coastal communities all over the world.
Yeah, their founder, Rodrigo Grisi, put it perfectly. He said, electricity access is directly tied to human development. By reducing costs and providing clean energy, we're not just addressing environmental challenges, but also improving quality of life.
Absolutely. It's about more than just, generating kilowatts. It's about empowering communities and driving sustainable development.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. How does this futuristic tech actually work? Neptunia's website kind of gets into some of the details of Octopod Z. They've got a vertical axis wind turbine, which means it doesn't need to rotate to face the wind, which sounds super efficient. But what about some of the other terms they use? Things like variable geometry and water breaking. I have to admit those went a little over my head.
Don't worry. Basically, variable geometry means that the device can actually change its shape to adapt to given wave heights and frequencies. It's like a chameleon blending into its surroundings. Only in this case, it's about maximizing energy capture and the water breaking. And wave attenuation properties help to smooth out the energy flow and protect the device from damage.
Oh, so they built in all these clever mechanisms to ensure that it can withstand that harsh ocean environment. What really blew me away is that Octopod Z isn't just an energy generator. It's also designed to function as an artificial reef.
Yeah, that's what I love about their approach. They're not just thinking about clean energy, they're thinking about the ecosystem as a whole. Greasy explained how the substructure of Octopod Z provides a habitat for marine life.
Yeah, he said, anything you put in the ocean becomes a hub for marine life. We're designing it to target specific species and support research, using the device itself as a platform for environmental study. So not only could this technology provide clean, affordable power, it could actually contribute to a healthier ocean ecosystem. Talk about a win-win.
Absolutely. But developing a technology this sophisticated obviously comes with its own set of challenges. They've successfully tested a second prototype, but the real test will be scaling it up for those open sea conditions.
And that's where they are right now, working with organizations like Florida Atlantic University and NextEra Energy. They're securing that funding and expertise needed to build that full-scale prototype. They even received a grant from the National Science Foundation to help them along the way.
Wow, that's encouraging to see that level of support. It shows that people are recognizing the potential of this technology.
Totally. But the question is, will it live up to the hype? What are some of the hurdles that Neptunia might face as they move from prototype to real-world application? We'll tackle those questions and more right after this.
Well, scaling up any new technology, especially one that operates in such a harsh environment like the ocean, it's bound to have its challenges, right? You're talking about corrosion, extreme weather events, marine life interactions. And just the sheer logistics of like installation and maintenance.
Yeah, it's like taking something that works perfectly in a controlled lab setting and then throwing it into the wild.
Exactly. And then you have the economic side of things too. Even if they can overcome, all the technical hurdles, they'll need to demonstrate that octopods can generate electricity at a cost that's competitive with other energy sources.
That brings up an interesting point. In the Refresh Miami article, they mentioned that Neptunia is also exploring ways to integrate octopods with existing offshore infrastructure, like wind farms, or even oil and gas platforms.
Now, that's a smart move. By piggybacking on existing infrastructure, they could potentially reduce costs and streamline that deployment process. Plus, it could be a way to transition those industries towards a cleaner energy future.
It's like turning a potential competitor into a collaborator. And it highlights Neptuna's forward-thinking approach. They're not just focused on the technology itself. They're thinking about how it fits into the bigger picture of the energy landscape.
Right. And that brings us back to you, the listener. Why should you care about all of this? Well, apart from the fact that this is just cool tech, imagine a world where coastal communities, island nations, even entire cities could be powered by this clean, reliable energy generated from the ocean.
That's the future that Neptunia is striving for. But as with any groundbreaking innovation, there are bound to be skeptics. Some might say that ocean energy is just too complex and expensive to ever become a mainstream solution.
Yeah, and those are valid concerns. It's important to be realistic about the challenges. But what Neptunia's story teaches us is that sometimes those biggest breakthroughs come from those who are willing to challenge conventional wisdom and push the boundaries of what's possible.
It's about having the courage to imagine a different future and the determination to make it a reality. And that's a powerful message regardless of whether Octopod Z ultimately succeeds or not. It sparks a conversation, it inspires innovation, and it reminds us that we have the power to shape the world around us.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Neptunia and their quest to harness the power of the ocean, what's the one thing you hope our listener will take away from this conversation?
I think it's the importance of staying curious and keeping an open mind. The world is changing rapidly, and these new technologies are emerging all the time. We need to be willing to learn to adapt and to embrace new ideas if we want to create a better future.
And who knows, maybe one of those new ideas will come from you, our listener. What if, inspired by Neptunia's story, you start thinking about how you could contribute to the clean energy revolution? Maybe you'll invent the next Octopodsy, or maybe you'll find a way to make solar panels more efficient, or develop a new type of battery that can store renewable energy for longer periods of time.
The possibilities are endless, but it all starts with that spark of curiosity, that willingness to ask questions and explore the unknown. This has been your deep dive into Neptunia and the future of ocean energy. We hope you enjoyed the journey and that you learned something new along the way. But before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final thought. What if Neptunia's success sparks a whole new wave of innovation in ocean energy?
It's certainly a possibility. Their work could inspire others to explore, different approaches, different technologies, different ways of harnessing this vast and powerful resource.
Yeah, we've been talking about wind and waves, but what about tidal energy or ocean currents, or even the temperature differences between the surface and the depths of the ocean?
There's so much potential out there, just waiting to be unlocked. And as the world becomes more aware of the urgent need to transition to clean energy, we're likely to see more and more investment and research in these areas.
It's like we're standing on the edge of a new frontier, and who knows what incredible discoveries await us. Maybe one day we'll look back at Neptunia as the pioneers, who helped to usher in a new era of clean energy, powered by the ocean.
It's an exciting prospect, to say the least. But for now, we'll have to wait and see what the future holds. In the meantime, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
This has been your deep dive into Neptunia and the future of ocean energy. Thanks for joining us.